So obviously the job market has been getting crazier and crazier with all the mass layoffs. The rise of ATS systems has made it where a lot of people's resumes are getting disregarded without a human even looking at them. And with unemployment rising, there's more and more competition for each job. So whether you are someone who is jobless right now and you're applying as much as you can, you're maybe a business owner who's looking for a job to create more stability, or you have a job but you just don't like it and you're trying to get something better. Either way, it can be a lot of work to constantly tailor your resume to each job listing, and it can take a lot of time. And the problem with many of the resume builders out there is they're going to be very generic and you're not really going to stand out. So I'm going to teach you how to create your own custom resume writer using your specific situation, your specific experience, skills, tools that you use, education, etc., that will get better and better over time at tailoring your resume to each job listing. You can control it yourself if you ever want to update it, and it specifically works for you and is not something generic. Now, the reason I recommend doing this yourself and having your own resume writer is so you can save a lot of time, you can save money, and you are fully in control of it. But also it will help your resume stand out and it will get to know you and get better and better at creating this for you. And you can update its knowledge base with your specific information instead of just doing something that everybody would use. Now, to build this, the first thing we need to do is do some research. We need to figure out, okay, what actually makes a good resume. Now, some people might disagree on what this means. I'm going to show you, if you're not exactly sure what the ideal criteria is for a resume, which most people don't unless you're like a recruiter, I'm going to show you a few different ways you can get high quality information for source material, and then you will at least have a really good starting point for your resume builder. So one thing you can do, you can go to ChatGPT, you can go to Google Gemini, whatever your AI of choice is, and you can type in what makes the perfect resume for today's job market. A few things to start with. How to make it ATS friendly. That's been one of the biggest problems with applying for jobs these days is ATS systems basically use AI to filter people out, and a lot of humans don't even see your resume in the first place. So you have to make it ATS friendly. The ideal length of your resume, if it's too long, people will not even bother. The formatting, if it looks too like fancy or it doesn't format properly, an ATS system might not be able to read it, and a human might not want to even try to read it. So those are just a few examples, and it will also do its own research based on high quality sources and come to its own conclusions and build like a checklist of what makes a good resume. So once you do that, it should have something that looks like this, what a perfect resume looks like in today's market. It'll talk about ATS systems, how a recruiter can skim it in 6 to 10 seconds. And then it'll go into detail of what that actually looks like, why it needs to be a certain length, what you need to have in your header, core skills, section experience, formatting, all of this different stuff that will make it look professional and not like a beginner made this resume. Now, another tip I would add if you want to diversify your source material for this is to use Reddit. Reddit is one of the best sources on the internet for finding people that are trying to figure something out in a specific category. It basically took all the forums and put them in one place. So career guidance is one of the best communities on Reddit for figuring out how would I make a good resume, what do I do with my career path, etc. It's got 1.3 million weekly visitors, so it's got plenty of material in here. And you can also use other subreddits as well. Now you can also look at resume tips from here and just write down the ones that you like, or you can just use Reddit's AI system, and it will tell you basically an AI summary of what real people on Reddit are saying in the top subreddits that are related to finding jobs and creating resumes. So for instance, it mentions sources like Get Employed, Our Resume, and 9 more communities. So then you look at view answers, and then you'll have a summary of what people are saying you really need to have in those types of things. So when you look at the AI summary from Reddit, it'll have, some really good bullet points from people like recruiters, from people who have actually, given good advice. They have a lot of karma on Reddit, and which just means they give a lot of helpful answers, and then it'll give you some of the top tips that would help you build a better resume. So this way you are at least diversifying your source material a little bit in case ChatGPT or Gemini doesn't have everything covered. Now, next, before you actually create a master prompt for your custom GPT, what you need to do is create a Word doc. And the reason I say Word doc is because I actually asked these AI tools, is it easier for you to read a Word doc or a spreadsheet? And they told me a Word doc is typically easier to read than a spreadsheet that has a lot of information. Spreadsheets can be, they can have a lot of weird formatting. I've actually tried uploading massive spreadsheets before, and it can get confused very easily based on what's in what column or what row. With this one, you don't have to worry about columns or rows or what's what. A Word document is very simple as long as you label it properly with headings. So for instance, I would have like my H1 tags as experience, skills, tools, and maybe education. And then H2 would be like the headings under each one of those categories. So for instance, I would have some H2 tags with this job, that job, the different jobs that you have experience with. I would just put them all in there. And then you can tailor it to whatever job you're going to apply for. It will do the tailoring for you. So just put pretty much everything you've ever done in this doc, but make sure it is properly formatted so it's easy for the AI to read. But this way, you don't have to reteach the AI every single time to write a new resume. You don't have to tell it, well, this is what I've done, this is my skills, blah, blah, blah. It'll already have that in its knowledge base. And all you have to do is update the knowledge base every once in a while if something changes. It's much faster, it's much easier, and it trains your script writer, or it trains your resume writer to just get to know you and to tailor things for you in a much faster way. So have your skills. So I just used an example of like, what would a customer support rep have in terms of skills? It'll say like communication, phone presence, de-escalation skills, staying calm with upset customers, stuff like that. And then you have like a tools section. A lot of companies want you to know how to use certain tools. So for instance, this one gave a bunch of different examples of software or SaaS products like Salesforce, HubSpot, Zendesk, Freshdesk, Intercom, etc. So these are just examples. Obviously, tailor this to what you actually know, but don't leave anything out when it comes to experience, education, skills, and tools. So once you've done that, what you want to do is download this Word document and save it as a .docx file. So basically go to file, or if you're using, Mac or Microsoft Word or whatever, just go and download this as a .docx file for Microsoft Word as a Word document, and then you will use that for your prompting and for your custom GPT. So the next step is we need to put all of this together to make a custom master prompt. The master prompt will be used to essentially train this new GPT that's going to be specifically built for a purpose, which is to write resumes for you. So what we're going to do is, you don't have to create this in a Word document. You can just type all of this and copy and paste it. So I'm going to explain each aspect of the prompt here because you really can't leave any of this out. There's a reason I have each sentence in here the way I do. And then we're going to apply the source material and then generate a prompt that we will use to create the custom GPT. So first, tell it straight up what you are trying to do here. So you're going to tell the AI, what I want you to do is write a master prompt for a custom GPT resume writer. The next sentence here is very important. You want to tell it, basically, this is who you are. So in this instance, I need it to operate like it has decades of experience and stays on top of the latest trends in the job market that help people get hired. So this will help it understand how to write a good resume based on years of experience, but also how trends change over time. If it just uses experience, it may be set in its old ways. We all know those people or have seen people that they're really good at something for a while, but then later on they did not adapt very well, and so they kind of lost their results. Well, with this one, you want it to both have the experience but also stay on top of current trends. The next sentence here in the prompt is going to be very important as well. So for instance, when I use the help me update my resume conversation starter, ask me follow-up questions to help tailor the resume for the specific job I am applying for. For instance, job title, company, job description, etc. Now what this means is if you use, say, ChatGPT, I'm going to show you an example of one that I built for another purpose, which is just a career coach. Basically with this one, you would you can create these conversation starters. You have these little buttons that you can press. And the whole point of these is to save you time and make things more efficient. So instead of saying, I need to write a resume, this is how I need to do it, blah, 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 and trying to either save the prompt in a Word file and copy and paste it every time, or just remember all the things you need to ask and hopefully not leave something out. Instead of doing that, you just click this button and it'll already have the process built in. Every time you want to create a resume, it knows the exact process step by step that you want it to follow. So instead of doing it the old-fashioned way and trying to remember everything you need to ask, you would have the prompt built in to write a resume. And you would just click, help me update my resume. You click that, and then it'll ask you all the things that you need to know. So with this example, you're going to make sure that it asks you certain follow-up questions, and then it will help you remember, oh yeah, I need to make sure and mention this, this, and this when I'm having it write one. So for instance, the job title you're applying for, the company you're applying at, and the job description of the job that you're applying for. And then all you would have to do is copy and paste that information, which will all pretty much be on the job application page. You just copy and paste that. It'll answer those questions for the AI, and then the AI will do all the rest of it for you. Now, the next sentence is important as well. Use my example work experience and skills .docx file here, which is the one that we created with all of your information, and then it will use that in its knowledge base as a reference for any experience, skills, tools, education, etc. that you need to tailor the resume for the job. So instead of you having to upload your resume over and over and over, or you having to explain your same information over and over and over, it'll have that built into its knowledge base. And all you have to do is just update that every once in a while if anything actually changes. But this way, if you're applying for jobs on a daily basis or however often, you don't have to constantly type the same things or copy and paste the same things or upload the same document over and over and over every time you make a resume. So this will be built into its database for this specific tool. And then you want to give it some source material. I've never had really that good of results with AI when I just tell it, hey, go write an article about this or something. You usually need to give it good source material. Otherwise, it'll just spit out the most generic thing you've ever seen. And that's why people call it AI slop. It's because it's generic. It's terrible. It's not, there's nothing really unique about it. There's nothing really high quality or specialized about it if you just tell it, do this. So I like to give it some sort of source material to go on. Now for this example, we already did the research. So one piece of source material we're going to use is this right here, what I used in ChatGPT. Again, you might have used this in Gemini or something else. You just click the copy button, and then I'm going to paste this source material of what makes a good resume here. And then once I've done that, I want to use my alternate source. So then I will go to Reddit and I will copy and paste the source material from the AI summary on Reddit, and I will copy and paste that into my prompt as well. So what you are telling the AI now, whether it's Gemini, ChatGPT, Grok, etc., is all of this. This whole thing is one giant prompt. And then it will create a new prompt. And that new prompt will be better formatted from this, and then you will use that to create the custom GPT that will be your resume writer from now on. So I will copy all of that and paste it here, and you will see this very, very long prompt basically that will tell it all the different things that I'm trying to do with this custom GPT. And then this will essentially give me the prompt that builds it. So it'll say something like, okay, below is a copy and paste master prompt you can use inside your custom GPT builder for a resume writer GPT that operates like a seasoned executive resume strategist and modern hiring expert. So it'll have your master prompt, and then it'll basically divide your prompt into sections to make your resume writer understand everything it needs to know very easily. This may actually take a good amount of time, not a long time, but it's going to be a very long prompt. As you can see, it's very long, and you will copy this whole thing. Now, the next thing you need to do is either figure out if you're going to use Gemini or if you're going to use a custom GPT. I don't really use a lot of the other AI tools for custom GPTs. Those are the two main ones that I use. And of course, those are two of the most common services that people will use. So I think most people watching this video will be covered by me showing you how to do this on both ChatGPT and Gemini. If you use something else, some other sort of third-party type of thing, then it should have a pretty easy way of setting up something like this if they have a custom GPT option, that is. For ChatGPT, you just go to the left sidebar and click Explore GPTs, and then you'll have a page that looks like this. You'll have all sorts of GPTs. You'll see a lot of public ones that people have created. But instead, what you want to do is go to Create. There's a button at the top right that says Create a GPT, and you want to click that one. So then you can have some fun with this as well. You can name it, you can give it a description, but the part you want to do with the master prompt is put it in the instructions section. So I took that whole thing from the prompt creator. I basically copy and pasted it here. Now you don't need this very top part that says, this is what I did. You can just start with the master prompt here, delete everything above that. And then sometimes it'll be like, do you want me to do this next? So you don't need that as well. If you would like, I can also do this. Like you can delete that part as well. Now remember, when you create a conversation starter and you're using, say, custom GPTs, you want to make sure it's the same wording so it understands when you use that specific custom GPT. So I'm going to use help me update my resume as the conversation starter. So when I go to conversation starters, I'll just paste that right there and you'll see this pop up as like a little button. As you can see on the right side, it'll kind of show you an example of what it's going to look like. Another thing you need to do is take that file that you created with all of your skills, your experience, and all of that stuff, and you want to upload those to the knowledge base. Okay, so for this example, I updated this just to give like what something like this could look like. So for experience, I just did job 1, customer support rep, Walmart, Los Angeles, California from 2020 to 2025, and it kind of describes what you might have done there. So as you can see, I uploaded the document with the exact name that's in the prompt. It's called example work experience and skills.docx. So this would be like your Word document with all your information on it. Now, you can also do a recommended model if you want. I don't necessarily do this. A lot of times these models update constantly anyway. And then capabilities here, I always put code interpreter and data analysis in case you ever need to upload a document. This will be very important. So if you're using ChatGPT, make sure that all 4 of these are checked. Now for your description, you might just put something like, resume writer for job applications or something like that. Now, obviously this is going to be personal preference. You can call it resume writer. I started giving them a name and then describing its role. So for instance, I have one that's a career coach and its name is Jack. It's based off of a character in 30 Rock called Jack Donaghy, which I think is hilarious. And so that's just kind of a fun thing that I do. I find like a lot of times a fictional character, I'll use the name based on that fictional character. I'll make a little logo, which you can do obviously with AI, and then tell it like, all right, well, this is what they do. So if I ever forget, what does Jack do again? It's like, okay, well, they're the career coach GPT. So you can do that with this one, give it a name, give it a logo, however you want to do it. And then you would just click create. Now, typically what you want to do is do only me, because it's not really going to be something you want people to use because it's going to have a lot of your private information on there. So then you can click save. It will give you a link, and then you can also just go straight to the GPT and then you can test it out. Now I'm also going to show you how to do this with Google. So for Google, instead of it being called a custom GPT, it's called a gem. So you would go on the left side here and click gems. So this is actually a little bit weird. Instead of doing new gem up here, which is gems made by labs, that's a little bit different. What I do is go to Gem Manager down here and go to New Gem. And then this is a lot more similar to what you would do like with ChatGPT. So you're going to call this, resume writer, something like that. You can describe what it does. It's going to basically write resumes for you. So basically like write resumes that are tailored for the jobs I applied for. And then instructions, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to paste the prompt that we created, the really long one. So you're going to paste that one that we created that was specific to the master prompt. So make sure, go to the top, make sure it says master prompt and all of that, and it'll make sure that everything is formatted properly. You can also set a default tool if you want, but I don't really think you need to do that here. And just like the other one, you have a knowledge section here, which allows you to essentially put all your resume information from the beginning of time, and that way it can reference it for specific jobs. So I uploaded the Word doc, that's called example work experience and skills. And then it will create your custom gem, and then you just click save. And then you can click start chat and go from there. So then if you have ChatGPT, you can click help me update my resume, or you can just type in for Gemini, I need to update my resume. So then when you use something like this, it should give you a few follow-up questions. And then you would just answer those questions very easily, label them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And then you would basically give it the job information, and then it should pump out a pretty solid resume for you. You may have to reformat it a little bit in your Word doc and obviously add links to your portfolio or your LinkedIn or something. But other than that, it should be pretty much almost completely done for you every time. Like I said, there's just maybe a few minor tweaks you have to make once it's there. So let's say I wanted to use this as an example. It's just a random customer service job I found. So you don't have to, if it asks more questions than you want, you don't have to answer every single one of these. You can just tell it what you want. You are in control. You are the boss of this custom GPT. This is like your own employee, except you don't really have to pay it like one. It's all AI. So for the first one, it's like customer service advocate, work from home. It's for a company called Gerber Life. Responsibilities, you just copy and paste them from the application page. And then for like number 4, for instance, are you applying through a company, website, LinkedIn, recruiter, or referral? Stuff like that doesn't necessarily matter as much. You can put that on there. You can put, say, like company, website in this scenario. And then after that, like the rest of it, you can tell it, use the rest of this information. It'll tell you already because you already optimized it. It'll use your information from your doc to position this properly. And so like for number 5, just say like, for everything else, use the knowledge doc from your database with my info. So then it'll summarize basically what it did for you. It'll tell you like, this is what we're targeting. You have this much experience in these areas. This will be a 1-page ATS optimized resume. And then it'll give you the resume straight up. All you do is you copy and paste this, replace your name with your actual name, your phone number, email, LinkedIn, etc. And it'll tell you a professional summary, your core skills, customer experience, or professional experience, technical skills, key competencies, etc. And then, you know, if you have education, it might make a education background. And then it'll tell you why it did things the way it did it and how this could actually even be upgraded. If you want to even tweak it a little bit more, you get to review it yourself as well and tell it, you know, as you do more of these, if I want a little more of this or a little more of that. But from then on, once you've done this, the only thing you really have to update is the information for the new job you're applying for. If you want to tailor it for that, you don't even have to do that. You can just save a resume that's tailored for a certain category of job and then have like 5 different variations of it based on the job category. You don't have to obviously tailor it for every single application unless you just really think that's going to help. But if you ever need to update the GPT, all you really need to do is update its knowledge base with your information. So this doc right here, you would just update this, download it, and then re-upload it to its knowledge base. And that's only if your skills change or your experience changes or your education changes or something like that. So it shouldn't be like that often. So again, this works with both ChatGPT and Gemini, maybe even some other AI services as well. Hopefully this was helpful. If it was, please let me know in the comments what you thought about this new type of video. If you want more AI tutorials like these, and I'll see you in the next video.